In the summer of 1666, a young man sat alone in a quiet English garden. According to legend, an apple fell from a tree before him. But where others saw only a falling fruit, he saw a question that would change everything. Why does the apple fall straight down? What invisible force pulls it toward the earth? And could that same force reach all the way to the moon and beyond? That young man was Isaac Newton. Over a single lifetime, he would uncover the hidden mathematical laws that govern motion, light, and the heavens themselves. This is the story of the man who dared to explain the universe, and very nearly did. Isaac Newton was born on Christmas Day, 1642, in a modest stone farmhouse called Woolsthorpe Manor. He came into the world prematurely, so small and frail that few expected him to survive the night. His father had died months before his birth, and when Isaac was just 3, his mother remarried and left him in the care of his grandmother. The boy grew up lonely, sensitive, and fiercely intelligent. Surrounded by the quiet rhythms of rural England, he turned inward, filling his hours with books, drawings, and endless questions. No one watching this fatherless child wander the frost-bitten fields could have guessed that within him stirred one of the greatest minds in human history. Even as a child, Newton's mind worked differently. While other boys played, he built. He constructed tiny windmills powered by mice, working water clocks, and sundials so precise that neighbors came to read the time by his shadows on the wall. He filled notebooks with sketches of machines and lists of curiosities, recording the world with relentless care. Sent to school in the nearby town of Grantham, he was at first an indifferent student, lost in his own thoughts. But once his ambition awoke, he rose swiftly to the top of his class. His mother hoped he would become a farmer. Isaac despised the work. His destiny, everyone slowly realized, lay not in the soil, but in the life of the mind. In 1661, Newton left the countryside behind and entered Trinity College at the University of Cambridge. To pay his way, he worked as a servant to wealthier students, quietly enduring his lowly station. The university still taught the ancient philosophy of Aristotle, but Newton hungered for something new. In secret, he devoured the radical ideas of thinkers like Galileo, Descartes, and Kepler. He began keeping a notebook of bold questions that probed the deepest mysteries of nature: light, color, motion, force, and the very nature of matter itself. Alone in the candlelit halls, the quiet scholar was teaching himself the frontiers of human knowledge. He did not yet know it, but he was preparing for an explosion of discovery unlike anything the world had ever seen. Then, in 1665, catastrophe struck. The Great Plague swept through England, and Cambridge closed its doors. Newton returned home to Woolsthorpe, into near-total isolation. For most, it was a time of fear and idleness. For Newton, it became the most creative period any single human mind has ever known. In barely 18 months, working entirely alone, he invented a new branch of mathematics we now call calculus. He unraveled the secret nature of light and color. And perhaps inspired by a falling apple in his garden, he conceived the revolutionary idea of universal gravitation. The same force that pulled the apple to the ground, he realized, held the moon in its orbit. These quiet plague years would forever be remembered as his year of wonders. Newton's curiosity turned next to light itself. In a darkened room, he let a single beam of sunlight pass through a glass prism and watched as it spread into a rainbow of colors. For centuries, people believed the prism somehow dyed the light. Newton proved them wrong. White light, he showed, was not pure at all, but a mixture of every color blended together. With careful experiments, he took the spectrum apart and reassembled it, mastering the very anatomy of light. It was a discovery of breathtaking originality. Yet when he shared it, he was met with criticism. especially from the established scientist Robert Hooke. Wounded and proud, Newton withdrew, growing ever more secretive and more determined to one day silence his doubters completely. Newton's genius was not confined to theory. He was also a brilliant craftsman, grinding his own lenses and mixing his own metals by hand. Frustrated by the blurry, color-fringed images of existing telescopes, he designed something entirely new. Instead of lenses, his telescope used a curved mirror to gather and focus light. The result was a compact instrument that produced far sharper views of the heavens. When he presented his reflecting telescope to the Royal Society in London, the most learned minds of England were astonished. This small device earned Newton his first taste of real fame and a place among the nation's elite thinkers. The lonely scholar from Woolsthorpe was becoming a force the scientific world could no longer ignore. In 1687, after years of obsessive labor, Newton published his masterpiece. Its full title was The Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, known simply as the Principia. In its pages, he laid down 3 elegant laws of motion that governed everything that moves, from a rolling cannonball to a distant planet, and he revealed his law of universal gravitation, a single idea binding the falling apple to the orbits of the planets and the tides of the sea. For the first time in history, the heavens and the earth obeyed the same mathematical rules. The Principia is often called the greatest scientific book ever written. With it, Isaac Newton did not merely study the universe. He revealed the hidden order beneath all of creation. Yet the man behind the genius was far stranger than the legend suggests. For much of his life, Newton was consumed by secret obsessions. He spent countless nights pursuing alchemy, the mystical quest to turn base metals into gold. He wrote more about religion and biblical prophecy than he ever did about physics. He was proud, solitary, and unforgiving, waging fierce feuds with rivals like Hooke and the mathematician Leibniz over who deserved credit for their discoveries. Later in life, he left the university to become master of the Royal Mint, hunting down counterfeiters with ruthless precision. Brilliant and tormented, generous and vengeful, Newton remained a profound mystery, even to those who knew him. His mind held both the light of reason and the shadows of obsession. Isaac Newton died in 1727 at the age of 84 and was buried with the honors of a king in Westminster Abbey, the first scientist ever to receive such a tribute. He had risen from a fatherless child in a remote farmhouse to the most celebrated thinker of his age. The laws he uncovered would guide engineers, astronomers, and explorers for centuries, one day carrying humanity all the way to the moon he once gazed upon. He had given the world a universe of order, governed by reason and revealed through mathematics. Yet Newton himself remained humble. He once said he felt like a boy playing on the seashore, while the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before him. Isaac Newton, the mind that revealed the hidden laws of the universe,